whole, or the individual and the supreme, because qualitatively they're the same. And one who is, back to the previous end of the previous chapter, one who is situated in Krishna consciousness, that individual, one who is conscious of the supreme, they're truly Brahman because they're acting that way. That consciousness is that way, and they're acting that way, and their life is that way, and therefore they're entitled to this nomenclature Brahman. Now, all living entities that aren't with that understanding, there are lots of living entities that don't understand who they are. They are also Brahman but covered. All living entities, a bug, a tree, a microbe, anything live, that's spirit, covered by matter of different qualities or different characteristics. So they're also Brahman. But what was being said previously is one who is truly can be called Brahman is one who's situated in consciousness of the Supreme. They're uncovered Brahman. So that's the Adhyatma. So Atma means soul. So that's the first little terminology, the Brahman terminology. And then karma, or fruitive activities. Everyone has something of an idea of what karma is. Karma means two things: what you do and the reactions from what you do. What you do and what comes back to you from what you do. Good karma, bad karma comes back from good actions, bad actions. That's what you do, and then it comes back. So karma is both sides. However, there's a higher understanding of karma yoga that we touched on in chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita, and that is where you have because of having a body and a mind, the psychophysical nature, there are suitable activities for each of us according to that covering. And when you do those according to the codes of Dharma, what's to be done, what's not to be done, I've got this body and I've got this mind. If I follow the do's and the don'ts and offer the result to the Supreme, that's karma yoga. That's really what karma is. Prescribed duty. Karma yoga is prescribed duty offered to the Supreme. So when you see Krishna, Arjun's asking, when you say karma, could you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean? Because it can mean different things. It's slightly varied. Mm-hmm. And then comes the third term. Brahma, Adhyatma, so what is spirit? What is the nature of the self or the soul? The nature of karma, Adibhutam, that's material nature or the material manifestation. Adi, so there's a nice explanation of the word Adi. They sound similar. There's ADI and there's ADHI. Adi. Adi very simply means original, like Adi Purusha. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, the original Purusha, the original person. And Adi, ADHI, means a controller or a cause or a governing principle of something. So it's an adjective modifying a noun. And the noun, what's karma, or what's the living entity, what's the living entity, what's the demigods. So higher beings than human are demigods, they're controllers of material nature. And what's the Adi, ADHI, of those folks? of those entities. What's the controlling or governing principle? So the previous chapter, Krishna said, I am that Adi Daivam. I am that Adi Bhutam. He is the controller or governing principle of material nature. Adi Atma, I'm the controlling principle of all living entities. So he's got a big service. But that's Krishna consciousness, or that's Bhakti Yoga, is when you offer to the Supreme, you have a clear idea what is the Supreme. It's very clear that sometimes it's not so clear. Sometimes it's not so clear when you ask, try it sometime. Meet somebody, are you a spiritual person? Yes. And if the answer is yes, could you tell me what's your understanding of the Supreme, or what is God? You get like a blank stare, or you get different answers. It's not clear. It can be clear, and so in order for the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita to have devotional service, the topmost system of yoga, there has to be clarity of unto whom are you being devoted, because you can be devoted to all kinds of things. Easy. We're all because here's a go back a bunch. Every living entity by nature is serving someone. There isn't an exception, because it's the nature of the soul. We're serving someone. The someone may be even my senses, but I'm serving my senses, or serving my mind that's directing my senses, or serving a person, someone that I say as a friend, or my parents, or a lover, or something, my dog. We're serving someone. Just a little comical note. During the heyday of car production, Henry Ford had partnership with a man that made designs for chassis of Ford motor cars. And that man that was designer of the Ford, or of the chassis, his name was Fisher. So Fisher and Ford. So he was not married, and he had a mansion. And at the end of his life, since he didn't have children, he in his will he willed the property to his dog. That was a big scene in courtroom. Who does this property belong to?
The dog.
Yeah, the dog. So what's the dog gonna? He's not going to sign a contract that says, I'm going to sell my home, my mansion to somebody. Well, they got sorted out. It's now a Hare Krishna temple. Fisher Mansion is now Hare Krishna temple. I don't know the detail of how it worked out. Everyone's serving someone is the point. If you get someone or something, we're serving, because it's the nature of the soul. There's a supreme soul, and he's the master. He's the one being served. And then and all the rest of us are servants of the master. We have different positions and labels and nomenclatures, but we're all servants. Ultimately, Jivar Svarpaya Nitya Krishna Das. We're all servants of Krishna. And so whatever our position may be of this lifetime, or during the course of a lifetime, it may change. Something. I become student, I'm serving of my teacher, and then after I do that, I got a job and I'm serving my boss, and after that I get married and serving my wife, and after that I'm serving the children. So the position of service may shift, but the thing that's constant is we're serving because we're spirit souls, parts of the Supreme, meant for the service of the Supreme. So we can do all those things in the consciousness of serving the Supreme. That's the topmost system of yoga. So that, therefore, it's very important to know what's the Supreme, please, because I'm doing other things, and where's the connection of those other things to the source of those things? Because ultimately, I'm serving the source, even when I'm serving the intermediary. In bhakti, in the top, in yoga system, I'm serving the Supreme through the medium of, not just in name, but I actually know what is the Supreme. So that's what's going on here. The concluding parts of chapter 7, the beginning parts of chapter 8, to help us understand the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, that is the topmost yoga system. It's important. It's imperative. What is that place, the object, the place where I repose my focus of attention, my mind, my work, my words, my life, unto the Supreme? What's that? Who is that? So some definitions, so that it's not unclear. It at least potentially can become super clear. Super clear. And it's good, so therefore it's good to learn Bhagavad Gita, so you can become super clear. So you can do nice devotional service. It's not, fair to partly cloudy, but it's very clear. And not only principle based, but personal based, because of the relationship of a person and who is being served. Just like, many of you, we all have friends. And those persons who are friends, it's nice to know what they like. Here's an example. Tomorrow I'm going to have lunch with Yogeshwar Prabhu. Yogeshwar Prabhu is a very nice devotee. Very nice devotee. Very nice devotee. And I want to know what he wants for lunch. It doesn't, my diet is something. And does it match him? I don't know. But I want to find out. So, because it should be nice. That's serving a person who I have a great deal of respect for and affection for. And that's what you do when you're with persons you have respect and affection for. So what to speak of the Supreme? It's good to know the characteristics of the Supreme. So these are just chapter 8, text number 1, it's just principles. So Krishna is saying, when you become very much devoted to me, then you understand me in these ways, and you're on the path to liberation. No more birth and death in this world. You're on your way to the spiritual world. That's important to have a proper conception. I'm just going to take a peek at the next verse, and I'm going to end abruptly. The next verse, Krishna adds item number 6, the Lord of Sacrifice, the Adi, A-D-H-I, Adi Yagya. Who is the Lord of Sacrifice, and how does he live in the body? So the Lord of Sacrifice means the Supreme. An aspect, Paramatma, there's Atma, that's the self, and Param Atma is the Supreme Self. Param Atma. And the Supreme Self is living within, and sacrifices are offered to the Supreme Self. So who is the Lord of Sacrifice? He's asking Krishna, but it's Krishna. And he's going to tell him, me. And I'm situated within the heart. An expansion of me is situated within the heart. So I'm situated within the heart. How do you live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? And that's a good question. How do we do anything properly at the time of death? And how do you prepare yourself for that inevitable? Because it's inevitable. I mean, it's the nature of this question. I don't want to get too much into it because that's next week. But like the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, this other book that's this big sitting on your shelf, it's a big book. It starts with a question. There's a king who was about to die within 7 days because of this certain circumstance. And so he gives up his kingdom and turns his kingdom over to his eldest son, sits on the bank of the sacred river, invites all the sages to instruct him. What am I supposed to do? What is the duty of man who knows they're about to die? Now, most of us know we're going to die, but we don't know when. But he knew when. So Krishna speaking same. There's a battle. It hasn't begun, but in battles, people die. And how to stay fixed in consciousness of the Supreme Spirit when you're about to die? That's a challenge, because everything, there's attachment to the body, there's the mind, there's pain, there's all the difficulties. That is not fun. And the loss of a person who has been with us for some time is not fun. So how do you prepare yourself? How to be fixed in Bhakti Yoga, which is the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the how-to section of Bhagavad Gita. How to have that consciousness fixed properly. Not just at the time of death. You live your life fixed, and that's what happens at the time of death, fixed. By practice, practice, practice. Some of us, I'm going to end with this. There's some of us in the room who, last weekend, it was Memorial Day weekend. Many of us went to Gita Nagari. Next year, please come. If you didn't come. If you did come, come again. We'll have a nice retreat in a farm community in Pennsylvania. And just today, I got a message, like really very blissful, sweet exchange from the co-speaker, Garuda. And he said, I had a blast, basically. He didn't use that language. It was really a nice experience. Thanks so much for inviting me. When can we do something like this again? And when we were together, he shared that he sometimes dreams in Sanskrit because he's a PhD in Sanskrit, Harvard University, in Sanskrit. And he dreams sometimes. I mean, he's a nice, American fellow, but he dreams in Sanskrit. So what your daytime is absorbed in, chances are when you're asleep, that there's going to be some absorption similar to what you were absorbed in during the daytime. So you practice yoga, where the mind and the senses are directed towards the Supreme. The chances are much better that at the time of death, that's where you're going, to the Supreme. And it's a choice of what you're going to practice. We're going to practice something. We're going to serve someone. You don't have to stop things. We just spiritualize and redirect the things that we do in yoga towards the Supreme. The principle is very simple. And then, so back to this text, what's the Supreme? And these 6 different characteristics of the Supreme will help you set the dial. So you know what the Supreme is, instead of a vague idea. A vague idea is better than no idea, but a specific idea, that's better than a vague idea. And you're more likely to get there. Supposing you have a GPS, and you just say, I'm going to Manhattan. Very good. Where? You got to put the address. No, okay, 2nd Avenue. Okay, great. We're on Second Avenue. You get the idea. Yoga, it doesn't mean you have to be an intellectual genius or something. You just have to know what the destination is. And there's characteristics of the definition of the destination, and the person who occupies that destination. The yoga system is directed to a person, not just a thing or a place. There's a thing and there's a place, and they're resting on person. That's the highest teaching of yoga. Supposing someone doesn't know, then they can practice yoga where they don't know. Let's say karma yoga. Perform your prescribed duty and don't be attached to results. There's results. What do? You offer the results to the Supreme. Okay, great. What's the Supreme? Fair to partly cloudy. Excuse me, can you be a little more specific? Yeah. Keep going. Read chapter 7 and 8. And then the how-to portion of Bhagavad Gita. And you'll know. Then you can be a very focused practitioner. You get the right address in your GPS and you'll get there. Even if you make a wrong turn, the GPS will take you back. Have a good GPS and have the destination. It's very simple. Okay, so I won't see you all next week, but some of you will be here again next week, probably.
Actually, Maharaj, we were just told due to some renovation and planning, next week we're not having a program.
Really?
Yeah, we were informed of it. It wasn't my decision.
Okay. So when are you going to do verse 2?
Well, it would be the Saturday after Rath Yatra, actually. So
2 weeks.
3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today, because we missed 2.
Okay. So do you know what Rath Yatra? You heard that word? No idea. It's a big festival. A big festival. It's a parade. I'm going to tell a little history. It's a parade down Fifth Avenue. The city of New York doesn't allow parades on Fifth Avenue. And this is a parade that goes down Fifth Avenue. And the history is, one of the little details of history is the person who secured the permit that was then extended next year, and still Fifth Avenue, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes. So, in our scriptures, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says what Rath Yatra is, very long section, and the man that gives the permits, the final one that has to sign it, along with the committee that he works with, he was brought the description of what Rath Yatra is. It was the first one. They had to know what's this thing. So here's the thing, and it says it's a mandate. It is to be on the most prominent street in the city.
That's either.
So he signed it. And so from Central Park down to Washington Square Park, parade down Fifth Avenue. And it's not just one cart, it's 3 carts. Big carts, not as tall as the skyscraper buildings, but they have a canopy that goes up and very colorful, and the Hare Krishna people run around dancing and singing and raising their arms and making a lot of noise, and 3 carts. Next week.
2 weeks from today, Maharaj.
June 14th.
2 weeks. Okay.
June 14th, yeah.
Okay, he's got that. You can circulate them.
We've got flyers for.
She wants one. Give her one. Anyone that wants one, raise your hand and we'll give you one. Right here. This.
Give one to Bhakti Meru.
I wanted to help them. Okay.
Oh, you're just
Thank
gonna
you so
volunteer.
much.
You're gonna pull the card or something.
Yeah. Be my- Last year was my first Rath Yatra.
Really?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. All the way to Washington Square Park. I couldn't believe they closed the whole park.
Meru's come a long way, Maharaj.
Did you go from the very beginning to Central Park down?
So like maybe 40
Plum
seconds.
Circle?
42nd Street.
These days, the permit allows us to start in the 40s
Yeah, 40s.
45th
and then go down.
Oh, well, that's
Close enough. But,
That's it's Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience. And then after 7, everything went back in Washington Square Park to normal.
Okay. So, I don't know how we got it. Okay, that's, in 3 weeks you'll hear verse number 2. And in between you can read Bhagavad Gita.
In between, we'll remember your teachings.
Yeah.
This
You won't forget. You'll remember.
we'll be serving somebody.
Yes, we're serving somebody. And you make sure you got the right address.
GPS.
Yeah. Yeah. Good GPS system needs a good address. The right address. Okay, any comments or questions? I see Urugai's hand first. So you go ahead.
Just wondering if you're going to be able to take a part in the parade.
No. I'm gonna be elsewhere, sorry. Next.
Maharaj, I was thinking the verse, Prabhupada's translation of the verse, we have 3 questions. And it's the way it reads in Krishna answering the way the questions read, it's like Arjuna is almost in the second question, Arjuna is almost answering the first question. In the third question, he's almost answering the second question, and it almost seems to me like
Scripted.
yeah, like it's like we all know the answer.
That's
So this
okay.
is like, and
He's asking for clarification. There are many passages. We just discussed one of those many passages where this is the Srimad Bhagavatam, this really big book, Srimad Bhagavatam. And the king, his name is Parikshit, and the speaker is Shukadev. Shukadev Goswami goes, wow, you know all these histories, but you're asking again as if you're hearing it for the first time. It's ever fresh and new, and it's because that's the nature of that which is spiritual. It's ever fresh and new. Even you've heard it again and you heard it again. There's things that you hear when you hear it again and hear it again that you may not have understood and heard correctly from the very first time. So Arjuna, in this circumstance, he's acting as if he's one of us, but he's not one of us. But he's in a state of consciousness induced by Krishna to act as if he's one of us. So he's asking things that you're going back to your question, that he seems to already know. So why is he asking? And then he's asking it again, and he's asking it again. Why is that going on? It's for edification of us. And it's to, in the pastime of learning as if he's hearing for the first time, it's giving to the rest of us who have heard for the first time. Let me say, how many times have somebody may have read Bhagavad Gita many times, and you read it again and you're hearing it, little details at least, as if it's for the first time. At least that's my experience. So, no harm. He may already know. He may not already know. That's okay. He's next, and you're after him, because he's in the front row, and I saw his hand first.
Thank you, Maharaj, for being here. It's such an honor that you're on Second Avenue. I was always asking Atma before, when is your teaching going to come? So, of course, I saw you at the previous. Well, quick question. I have a lot of respect for Atma and a lot of respect for you. If you can recall, what your first impression was when you saw Atma?
My first impression. You want an honest answer? I don't remember. You're off the hook.
I love your person.
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
Long ago.
Honestly, I don't remember. I have a bad memory. Some things I remember, but many things, details like this, I don't remember. But thanks for asking.
I try.
Yes,
Maestro, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
If I remember correctly, you're saying you define karma as dutiful action.
Yes,
Isn't that the same as is that dharma?
yes.
It's
Dharma, clarification. Dharma is dutiful action.
Uh-huh.
Karma is acting according to Dharma. So there's a theory, and then there's the action that's aligned with the theory. That's karma. There's the action itself, using the senses, interacting with the object of the senses, in alignment with Dharma. That's karma, and karma yoga is complete when you offer the result to the Supreme. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Gracias. All you folks in the back, anything from the back row back there? This is a test to see if you've been.
What is Brahman?
Okay.
If there's some example to relate.
Let me ask you: Have you ever seen an electron? I haven't either. But we have confidence that electrons exist. At least if you pay your electric bill. I was in Virginia, and the place where I was at 4:00 in the morning, the whole big area, because a power line fell. No electricity. I mean, I didn't realize how dependent we are upon electricity. We had candles so we could see, basics, but so we haven't. There are things that we know exist, although we haven't seen them with our senses. So there's the eyes, and we have 5 working senses. Knowledge acquiring 5, working 5. That makes 10, and then the mind. So with the mind, or with these 10 senses, we haven't perceived the soul, or Brahman, or because it's another category. It's not matter. So how can you perceive with matter that which is not matter? Sorry, Charlie. It's not going to happen. Then is it knowable? That's the next question. Yes. How is it knowable? Sound. Shabda. In Sanskrit, sound. And it's knowable by sound. And there's also knowable by symptoms. Let me give you an example. 2 examples. Out-of-body experience. They have an acronym. You know what that is? OBE.
Yeah.
So when there's trauma, sometimes people observe, they report, they were in a dead condition and under cardiac arrest in an operating room by all the instruments. The heart stopped, which means blood doesn't go to the brain, and the nervous system indicates the nervous system shut down. That means dead. And then the person, by sometimes they're revived by electrodes placed on their chest, and they simulate the signal for the heart to pump. The heart starts pumping again, and they live. And they tell the experience of their floating up above the operating table, watching the whole thing happen. Which means, listen, if they remember, they can remember what they heard. This physician said to the nurse said to the main surgeon, the conversation they reported exactly as it happened. They have memory, that's the mind. They had visual acuity and memory and auditory acuity, but the body was dead. So you tell me, what's that? And one name for it is Brahman. But he didn't see it. The surgeon and the nurse and the other doctors, they didn't see this guy floating up there. Mm-hmm. And then so many examples like that. OBE. It's just we'll get you. So it's esoteric because with our senses we can't perceive, but we know that it exists through sound, through scripture, that sound vibration can tell us that it exists, and we can discern the symptoms, just like we can discern the symptoms of electricity. Stick your fingers into a socket, see what happens. You experience electricity, although you can't see the electron. There's symptoms by which Brahman can be known, that can be observed on this plane, the physical plane. But we don't see the Brahman. Therefore, it's esoteric because you can't see it with your senses. But you can know of it, and by sound. And as you become more proficient in hearing spiritual sound, I'll say it twice. As you become more proficient in hearing spiritual sound, you can understand that which is esoteric more clearly. And you become situated in that consciousness, esoteric consciousness, or Krishna consciousness, by the practice of hearing from the right source on a regular basis. Then it's no longer esoteric, it's palpable.
Thank you, Maharaj. That explains the Brahman as self, but the Supreme Brahman, is there a way to easily understand in analogy?
Yeah, you're inviting me to say something that's like 201, maybe even 301. And I'll just do it simply. But there's knowing of something and there's experiencing that something that you know of. And the Vedas, specifically Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are not just knowing about, it's not just information about, but it's the experience itself. That's the sound vibration of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's meant to, the Sanskrit word is darshan, give one a vision of. Not just information about, but the direct, but it's on the spiritual platform. And is it possible to become situated on the spiritual platform? Absolutely. Well, what are you waiting for? Well, I got some business here on this platform. I'm attached to stuff. So let me do stuff, and then I'll get around to getting to the spiritual platform. Or, so it takes some time. It takes cultivation. But it's certainly, it's not just information access, but it's experience access. And then you could say, well, how do I know? And then the answer is stick around and do spiritual practice carefully, and you'll experience two things: detachment from matter and attachment to spirit. More, not like 100, not to 10, but something that's not a zero either. You can experience. We're in New York City. We're in 26 Second Avenue, and there's cars passing by and da 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 da. So we're not oblivious to the world. We're not identifying with it. We're moving about the world, and as much as spiritual consciousness becomes developed, cultivated strongly by hearing process, then that becomes your experience while you're aware of the cars going by and we're on 26 Second Avenue until we get up and walk out of here and do something else. The Krishna consciousness goes with you. 26 Second Avenue, the traffic outside doesn't. Okay.
So does Brahman mean God?
Brahman has different meanings. The common meaning, the generic spirit. There's matter and there's spirit. So in the category of spirit, there's us, we're also spirit, and then there's God, the Supreme Spirit, whom we're part of. Tiny. And then there's not so tiny, like unlimitedly great spirit. That's also, so and then there's a nice adjective, Supreme Spirit, Para Brahman. Para means supreme or spiritual. Para Brahman.
And then if the supreme like spirit, like we're part of the supreme.
Yes, that's right. So
So
we're little
all of
Brahmins, and there's a Supreme Brahman.
Yeah, so all of us are.
We're part of the Supreme.
Yes, and the whole of us is supreme.
No.
No, why?
The whole, here's why. So here's piece of paper. Supposing I take this piece of paper, I'm not going to do it, but rip it into little pieces and throw it on the floor over here. The original piece of paper is no longer. It's little scattered pieces on the floor over here. That's material. On the spiritual, the unlimited spiritual whole can expand himself unlimitedly but not diminished. Do it again. The Supreme expands. Here's a Sanskrit. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. What does that mean? It means that the Supreme is unlimited and he can expand himself unlimitedly into so many units, but he's not reduced. He still remains Purnam.
He still remains the same, but he can.
And those expansions are different.
Yes.
So some are tiny, some are plenary, some are equal to him. Those kind of expansions,
Not the same.
but he doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
He doesn't change. That's a Supreme. That is one of a kind. We can't do that.
We cannot go
No, we can go back. We're meant to go back.
Yeah.
But when you go back doesn't mean I become the Supreme. It means I'm still this tiny little fragmental spark.
Piece of the supreme.
Just like take a drop of water, put it back in the ocean. It's still a drop. In the ocean. Then there's the ocean.
But then where is the ocean?
Where is the ocean?
Yes.
Well, the ocean is over that way. But the Supreme is like the ocean. And where is, he's within, as his expansion within, and he has his own abode in the spiritual world. We can get a GPS and find out his address and go there.
You cannot.
You can.
Yeah.
You can go there. Bhakti Yoga. That's the Bhagavad Gita. How to go there. That's this how-to section. He says the destination, then he says how to get there.
The drop of water inside the ocean.
I don't understand your question.
I think that the question is, the misunderstanding might be, if you're going back to Krishna, does that not mean that you become Krishna?
No, we don't become, because the part doesn't become the whole. That's a misconception. The part doesn't become the whole. The part is a part.
Yes, but why we are not inside the ocean?
Okay. Yeah. We have forgotten. We have a connection. I'm not you and you're not me. We're eternally, not just, corporeally, but spiritually.
Yes.
We have separate identities. And then there's a Supreme that has his separate identity. We're part of that Supreme. I'm not part of you and you're not part of me. We're part of the Supreme, but being, again, connected to the part of the Supreme. I'm eternally part of the Supreme, but just in consciousness of that connection, a loving relationship. It takes two for love. You can't love your hand.
My hand is part of
Yeah, your hand is part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part of the body.
Yeah.
But so there's the object and the abode of love and the object of love. So God or the Supreme is the object. That's yoga. Yoga system. We went through those first 6 chapters. All yoga means, the Sanskrit word yoga means to link with or connect with. What? So there's me and there's the object I'm connecting with. And the connecting with is the Supreme. And let's identify the Supreme. And I don't become the Supreme. I am eternally part of, qualitatively like, but not the Supreme. And I don't become the Supreme. I maintain my position as part of, in full consciousness of being part of, in a loving relationship.
Yeah.
That's
But then-
nice. Isn't that nice?
That's very nice, but then why we're part of the Supreme.
But we forgot. We got covered by ignorance.
Yeah, we forgot that we're part
Yeah,
of the
we
Supreme.
went to sleep.
We're so blind. We're still so blind.
In Sanskrit, it's avidya. In English, it's ignorance. Ignorance covers knowledge of who we really are. And to restore who we really are, just peel away the ignorance. But it's too easy to just say peel away the ignorance because we're attached to it.
But then
We're attached to
I
that.
understand that why the whole of us is not the Supreme.
Oh.
Oh,
Because we're eternally fragmental. Mame Vangsa. It's right in Bhagavad Gita. Eternally, we're part. The part doesn't become the whole. The part is part of the whole. The part doesn't become the whole. The whole is the whole. Just that nice example of a piece of paper. I can't distribute myself and stay the same.
Mhm.
But the Supreme distributes himself and stays the same. So we're one of those little parts, eternally. Not once upon a time, we were the Supreme, we went to sleep, and now we're thinking otherwise, but wake up and you're the Supreme. Not eternally, we're the part. But it's nice, because that's love. Love is eternal.
Of course.
Okay. Then it takes 2, not just 1. Why? Love is an exchange.
If
You think there's love that's just one?
if it's unconditional love.
But unconditional love is, I have love for an object, the Supreme, and I don't place any conditions. Supposing he says, he embraces me. That's nice. Supposing he neglects me. That's nice. Supposing he tramples me under his feet. That's nice.
Yes, that's unconditional.
Yeah. So then there's 2. The lover, and the beloved. That's love. An exchange between 2. Just try to understand. You're trying. I appreciate that you're trying. And love is 2. There's a oneness in selflessness. There's still 2. And in reciprocation from the beloved, there's the acceptance of that love. It is unconditional. But it's love. It's 2. It's an exchange of feeling and service and, giving and taking. And no one's keeping score. Isn't that nice? I like it.
Yeah, that's-
Like give unconditional love.
Because of ignorance.
People are ignorant
Okay.
because they want to receive something instead of give.
Yes.
Like only if you're God you can give.
Okay. So when that ignorance is gone, when it's wanting from me is gone, and it's now selfless, it's still a relationship of love. There's the object,
Mhm.
the subject.
Mhm.
That grammar. There's a
I
verb.
understand, but if you are the whole,
No, I'm not the whole. I'm the part eternally. And I like it. I understand you're not wishing, in some prideful way. You want, I want to be the whole. You want reality.
I don't want reality.
You don't want reality. What do you want?
I want to live in my dream world. Live
in your dream world.
Yeah.
She's studying Vedic astrology.
Vedic astrology.
Studying.
She's studying.
Really?
No, I'm a Vedic astrologer. Like
Astrologer? Oh,
yeah,
right.
I do see people's chart.
Okay. Well, that's one of the systems of the Vedas.
That's
It's one of 6 systems. But all the Vedas. Here's a nice Bhagavad Gita verse. The purpose of the Vedas, Vedaishta Sayarvayar Aham Eva Vedam. The purpose of the Vedas is to know Krishna.
who's Krishna?
He's the supreme. He's the source of everything. That from which everything comes, that's the supreme. And I'm part of that which has come from. And so are you.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat. We're parts of the source. But we're not the source. Okay. Lively discussion. I wish I had such a discussion the first time I ever came to a gathering like this. So you, thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's my first time.
Okay.
Yes.
Somehow, well, we don't have the book table here, but we have to make sure she gets a bug at the beginning.
Yeah,
we can
Maharaj.
give her
We
one.
will take care of that.
Okay, I'm sure. Look at this, it's 7 o'clock. The 7 o'clock bell already rang 5 minutes ago.
There's no bell, Maharaj.
There's no bell.
That's why I didn't hear it.
I think we'll
Figuratively or literally.
I brought with me some Mahaprasadam, besides whatever you guys had for your eating prasadam. So those of you by the door, don't go away yet. I'm going to give you some Mahaprasadam offered to the deities at the Visual Temple. Here we go.
Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Okay.